He concluded chapter number 5 saying that Tam api abhadra sruta vismrutam vibho samapyate yena vidam bubutsitam prakhyahi dukher muhur arditatmanam sanklesha nirvanam ushnati na anyatha. So this is very, very important. Ushnati na anyatha. Okay, there is no other means. So he said, he concluded, "O my dear Vyasdev, please therefore describe the Almighty Lord's activity, which you have learned by your vast knowledge of Vedas, for that will satisfy the hankering of great learned men." So it is for even learned men, at the same time, mitigate the miseries of the masses of the common people who are always suffering from the material pains. So this Bhagavatam is not only meant for those who are suffering, even it is even meant for learned men. So there are so many learned people, they might not be satisfied, but when they read Bhagavatam, they feel satisfied. Just like Sukdev Goswami, he was Brahmavadi. So but as soon as he heard the Bhagavatam, Aho Bakiyam Tal Stanakala Krutam, that verse he heard, that, oh Lord Krishna, that's such a great, although Putana came to feed you the poison on the name of feeding you milk, but still you gave her the position of your mother. As soon as Sukdev Goswami heard this verse, he was very much attracted towards Srimad Bhagavatam. Even for a great learned man, at the same time, those who are suffering. Okay, so both are going to take a benefit from Srimad Bhagavatam. And then he says, indeed, there is no other way to get out of such a miseries. So that's what he said. In the chapter number 6, so in the chapter number 5, what happened that Naradmuni described his realization briefly. But in the chapter number 6, there is a conversation, more conversation goes ahead. So how it goes ahead? That Sukdev Goswami says that Evam nishamya bhagwan devarsa janma karma cha bhuya prapacham tam brahman vyasa satyavrati sutta. So after hearing that, as soon as Narad Muni shared his experience with Vyasdev, sometime, if you have our near and dear one, let's say maybe our guru about Srila Prabhupada, so someone tells, oh, Srila Prabhupada at the age of 70, by the instruction, to follow the instruction of his Guru Maharaj, he went to America. So many people want to know, oh, what he did, no? Or maybe he described everything. Then within a 12-year, he established ISKCON and 108 center throughout the world. He published 60 volumes of book, blah, 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 and all those things. Then what happened that? So we also want to know that then what kind of childhood Prabhupada has passed through and how he met his spiritual master. So all those things we want to know. By hearing this thing, what happened that Naradmuni was asked by Vyasdev that what he was asked, the Sukdev Goswami says that, oh Brahmana, thus hearing all about Sri Narada's birth and activities, Vyasdev, the incarnation of the God and son of Satyavati, inquires as follow. Okay, so Naradmuni briefly described, he has taken a birth through the womb of maid. Then he was serving the Mahabhagavatas. Then he took the Uchishta from Mahabhagavatas. Then he was hearing them regularly discussing Krishna Katha. And when they were departing from that place, they instructed Narada in the knowledge of Supreme Lord. So that way he narrated. But he wanted to know in more details. After they departed, what happened? Okay. So Vyasdev was further inquisitive to know about the perfection of Naradaji. So how he became perfect? What happened after Bhagavatas left? Therefore, he wanted to know about him more and more. So basically, in this chapter, Naradmuni will describe that he was absorbed in the transcendental thought of separation from the Lord when it was very painful, and when it was very painful for him. In the next verse, Vyasadeva, Sud Goswami is telling that Vyasadeva will ask more question. So conversations left to Vyas Uvacha. Then he says, Bhiksu bhi vir pravisite vijnana dvestu svava vartamano vayasyadye tata kim karud bhavan. So Sri Vyasadeva said, what did you, Narada, means he is asking to Naradmuni. So that means you means Naradmuni here. What did Narada do after the departure of the great sages who had instructed you in scientific transcendental knowledge before the beginning of your present birth? It's in previous verse, you have been instructed by the Mahabhagavatas. So what did you do after that? So then in the next verse he says that Swayambhukaya vrittaya vartitam te param vayah katham chedam udakshtraskshi kale prapte kalevaram. So then he says, Vyasadeva continue, O son of Brahmana, how did you pass your life after initiation? So after Bhagavatas initiated you, how you passed your life, and how did you attain this body, spiritual body, having quit your old one in due course? How did you achieve this body? So his Naradmuni's body was not ordinary body like ours, which one cannot survive within the water for a long time without the suit and all those things, proper clothes, right? But Naradmuni's body was not like that. It can go anywhere, anytime. So that can any universe. Naradmuni's body was very, very spiritual, Sachidananda, exactly like Lord Krishna. Okay, qualitatively one. So then he asks again, Prakakalpa Visaya Metam Smrutim Te Munisatam Nahi Esa Vyavadhat Kala Esa Sarva Nirakriti. Oh, great sage, means he is asking Naradmuni. Vyasadeva is asking to Naradmuni. Time annihilate everything in due course. So how is it that this subject matter which happened prior to this day of Brahma is still fresh in your memory, undisturbed by the time? So this Naradmuni, he met Mahabhagavatas in the previous day of the Brahma. Means not this day of Brahma. As we already discussed, in a one day of Brahma, how many Chaturyugas are there? 1,000 Chaturyugas. So how many earthly years? 1,000 Chaturyugas means 4.32 billion earthly years. So when 4.32 billion years passed on the earth, there one day of Brahma is over. So then similar night, 4.32 billion earthly years makes another night, one night of Brahma. So then after that again day comes. So that is 4.32 billion years, earthly years. That is the next day of Brahma. So Narad Muni had met these Bhagavatas, Mahabhagavatas, as what he has discussed in the previous chapter. He met them in the previous day of Brahma, not this day. So that means almost more than 432 billion years. More than. Not equal to, more than. Okay. So that's why Narad Muni is asking, oh, you met Mahabhagavatas in the previous day of Brahma. So then, generally, even in this particular day of Brahma, or maybe particular Chaturyuga, when we leave our body and we accept new body, we cannot remember. Forget about that. We cannot even remember what we did yesterday in the morning, afternoon, evening. What did we eat? Whom did we meet? Almost we forget everything. What to speak about before 4.32 billion years ago. So that's why Narad Muni was asked by Vyasadeva ji. So that was the great surprise for Vyasadeva. Over time, annihilate everything in due course. So how is it that this subject matter which happened prior to this day of Brahma is still fresh in your memory, undisturbed by time? How is it possible? So this is a question asked by Narad Muni, or asked to Narad Muni by Vyasadeva. Okay. So here Prabhupada writes in the purport that as spirit is not annihilating even after annihilation of the material body, so also the spiritual consciousness is not annihilated. Since Narad Muni has perfected his life, what happened that he could remember. He has becomes Nitya Siddha. So Naradmuni developed this super spiritual consciousness even when he had this material body in the previous kalpa. So that Naradmuni will describe all those things. So consciousness of the material body means spiritual consciousness expressed through the medium of material body. Okay. So as soon as spiritual consciousness goes away, material body also doesn't show any consciousness. So this consciousness is inferior, destructible, and perverted. Okay. But super consciousness of the supra mind in the spiritual plane is as good as the spirit soul and never annihilated. So if you are spiritualized, if you have gone beyond this, what should I say, this material limitation, material bondage, then what happened that your spiritual soul will never be annihilated, right? So of course it cannot be annihilated, but your super consciousness of the supra mind in the spiritual plane is as good as super soul, spirit soul, sorry. So you can remember everything. You cannot forget that. So then after, so basically how many questions were asked by Naradmuni, sorry, to Naradmuni by Vyasdev? So basically, how did you attend the current body? Then how was his life after initiation, after meeting the Bhagavatas? So that was the second verse of this chapter. Third verse was about attaining current body. How did you attain this current body, which is Sachidananda, which is not different from your body and soul, so it's similar to soul. And how did you remember, even though this incident happened, you meet the Bhagavatas in the previous day of Brahma, then how could you remember that? Okay, so in this verse onwards, Naradmuni start describing his stories, that what happened to him. So basically he describes from the next verse that Eka Atmaja me Janani Yosin Muda Chakinkari Maya Atmache Anya Gato Chakro Snehanubandanam. So he said, so Naradmuni is narrating his story. I was the only son of my mother, who was not only a simple woman but a maid servant as well. So she was not only a simple woman, but she was maid servant as well. Since I was her only offspring, she had no other alternative for protection. She bound me with the tie of affection. So Narad Muni was the son of maid, and he was the only offspring of her, for her. So she had no alternative for protection. So basically, she was also searching the shelter from Narad Muni. Okay, and she bound me with the tie of affection. The next verse he says, Sat Saswatantra Nakalpasi Yogam Kshemam Mamechati Ikshasya hi vase logo yosa daru yatha. She wanted to look after my maintenance properly, but because she was not independent, she was not able to do anything for me. The world is under the full control of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, everyone is like a wooden doll in the hand of puppet master. So she wanted to raise the Narad Muni properly, but since she was a maid and she was not independent, so she was not, although she has a desire to maintain Narad Muni properly, but she could not do. So why? So Narad Muni is giving reason that world is under the full control of Supreme Lord. Therefore, everyone is like a wooden doll in the hand of puppet master. So basically, that's what he said. Prakrute kriyamanani gune karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudatma kartam manyate. Everything is done by the modes of material nature under the guidance of Supreme Lord. So then he says, Aham cha tad brahma kule usivams tad upekshaya digadesa kala vitpanno balaka panchahayanaha. So he said that when I was mere child of 5 years, I lived in the Brahmana school. I was dependent on my mother's affection and had no experience of different lands. So then he continue in the next verse that Ekada nirgata dehan duhyanti nisingam pathi sarpo damshat padas prushta rupanam kala choditam. So once upon a time, my poor mother, when going out one night to milk a cow, was bitten on the leg by a serpent influenced by the supreme time. So finally, Naradmuni's mother was dead because of the snake bite when she was going for milking the cows. Okay, and the snake bite was the influence of the supreme time. That was the call of the supreme time. Okay, so then he's tad tadaham ikshasya bhaktanam sam pipsatah anugrahyam manyamana pratishtam disam uttaram. So then he said, okay, my mother passed away. So people start lamenting so much if no one is there. So he said, Naradmuni said, but I took this as a special mercy of the Lord and would always desire benediction for his devotee. So thinking, I started for the north. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, right? In the second chapter, 13th verse, Dehino asmin yatha dehe, komaram yovanam jara, tatha dehantara prapta dhirastatra namuyade. So, Dehino asmin yatha dehe, soul take birth in the human body, komaram, then earlier in the beginning he will be child, then komara avastha, yovanam, from komara to yovanam, then old age, after that old age body will become useless, then body died, then soul enters into new body. Tatha dehantara praptir dhirastatra, but the one who is sober, namuyate, he will not be bewildered. So Narad Muni took it as a special mercy. So we can see here that, of course, Bhagavad Gita is instruction, but Bhagavatam is the example of those instructions. So Narad Muni is the example of that. The second chapter, 13th verse, how to be followed. So Narad Muni is giving his own example. Okay, so that he took it as a special mercy. So of the Lord, who always desire benediction for his devotee. So thinking, then he started for the north. Prabhupada writes in the purport that confidential devotee of the Lord see in every step. So this lesson we have to learn. In confidential devotees of the Lord see in every step a benedictory direction of the Lord. So it is said, each and every step, each and every moment is opportunity to surrender to Krishna. So if something happened, we have to approach Krishna. Something good happened, we have to glorify gratitude. We have to express gratitude to Krishna. Something bad happened, still we have to express gratitude to Krishna, saying that, oh, I was deserving more, but you reduced it. So every step is opportunity to surrender to Krishna. So that is what is considered to be an odd or difficult moment in the mundane sense is accepted as a special mercy of the Lord. So we have to accept it as a special mercy. So mundane prosperity is kind of material fever. And by the grace of the Lord, the temperature of this material fever is gradually diminished. So I remember, when I was child, so we had all cows and buffalo, everything. So I used to like buttermilk, curd, srikhand, Gujarati family. So many things, items made of curd and all. So when I was in 2024, 25, so I had from the childhood I had allergy, and but still I was fond of eating curd, drinking buttermilk, srikhand, and all those things. But it was too much. Till certain point you can tolerate, but afterwards you can't tolerate. Then I approached doctor. They said आपको कुछ चीजें खाने की बंद करनी पड़ेगी. मैंने बोला क्या बताइए, कर देंगे. दही, छाछ, श्रीखंड, banana, all these they give. बोला tomato, सब कुछ बंद करो. And then I thought, the doctor told me to stop all those items which I was liking. So now what to do? So then I was thinking, Krishna is giving me opportunity to become detached. Now I have to be detached. I can't do anything. So now it's up to us, every moment how we take. Do we take it as a mercy of the Lord, or just we do lament and spoil the life? So Naradmuni is the great example. So that's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. after that 13th verse, there is a 14th verse. Please, if you can memorize, please memorize 13 and 14 second chapter. That 14th verse says, Matra sparsastu konteya situshna sukha dukhada. So because of the sense perception, you feel situshna sukha, thandi and garmi. You can feel heat and cold. Then he says, Agama paino nityas, anityas. They are not temporaries. They will keep and go. They are temporary. Agama paino means it will come and go. They are anitya. They are temporary. Then he says, Tam titik matra sparsastu konteya sitoshva sukha dukha. The agama paino nityas, anityas, tam titik so bharata. Oh, great descendant of Bharata, you should tolerate. So we have to tolerate all those things. The agitations will come, but we have to tolerate. Okay. So even the 5th chapter, 23rd verse of Bhagavad Gita, if you can memorize, then here it is said, Saknoti he viha sodum prak sarira vimokshanam kam krododbam vegam sasuka sayukta sasukhi narha. So as soon as you have body, you will get kama and krodha. Saknoti he viha sodum prak sarira mokshanam kam krododbam vegam sayukta sasukhi narha. But Kam and Krodha will keep coming. Anger, lust, greed will keep coming. But you should tolerate them. Till the time body is there, it will keep coming. You have to tolerate. So that person will become happy. So Naradmuni didn't become bewildered. He didn't become unhappy. He was not grief-stricken. But he took it as a special mercy of the Lord. We can't see, if you cry and something is happening, then better you cry when something good is happening. But even if you are going to cry, nothing is going to happen. So then what is the best way? And take it as a mercy of the Lord and move ahead. Right? That's what Naradmuni is saying here. In the next verse is continue. Spitan janpadam statra pura grama vajakaran kheta kharvata vatischa vanani upavanani cha. So then he says, after my departure, means he also left that place. Means where he was staying with his mother, and his mother was dead. So he says that he left that place. That's what he said, right? He departed for the north, started for the north. So after leaving that place, he says, after my departure, I passed through many flourishing metropolis, town, village, एनिमल फार्म्स, माइंस, मतलब उसी वक्त इंडस्ट्री था, एग्रीकल्चर, लैंड, वैलीज, फ्लावर गार्डन, नर्सरी गार्डन एंड नेचुरल फॉरेस्ट. Pass through all those things. So then what he did? Then he said, Chitradhatu vichitradrin ibha bhagna bujadruman jalasayan chivas jalan नलिनी सूर सेवितः चित्रस्वने पत्र रेथेर विभ्रमद ब्रह्मण स्त्रिया. So I passed through hills and mountains full of reservoir of various minerals like gold, silver, copper, and through tracts of land which reservoir of water filled with beautiful lotus flower, fit for the denizens of the heaven, decorated with bewildered bees and singing birds. So at that time there is a mountain, there was a reservoir of gold, silver, and copper. So it was available in abundance. So many of you might have read in the history that earlier India was known as Sone ki Chidiya. Right? So these things were available. Then he says, Nala Venu Sarastamba Kusha Kichaka Gahavaram Eka Evatyato Aham Adraksham Vipinnam Mahat Ghoram Prati Bhayakaram Vyalokluka Sivajiram. So I then passed alone through many forests of rushes, bamboo, reeds, sharp grass, weeds, caves, which were very difficult to go through alone. I visited deep, dark, and dangerously fearful forests, which were the play yards of snakes, owls, and jackals. And he says, Parisrante indriya atmaham truta parito bhukshita snatva pitva ride nadya upasrushto gatasrama. So then he said, thus traveling, I felt tired, both bodily and mentally, and I was both thirsty and hungry. So I took a bath in the river lake and also drank of water. And he said, by contacting water, I got relief from my exhaustion. So then in the next verse, he says that Tasmin nirmanuje aranye pipalo upvasta asrita atmanatat atmanam atmastham yatha srutam achintayan. After that, under the shadow of banyan tree, in an uninhabited forest, I began to meditate upon the super soul situated within, using my intelligence as I had learned from the liberated soul. When he was tired, then he took a bath in the river, then he drank the water, then he was relieved from his fatigue. Then he was sitting under the banyan tree in an uninhibited forest. So no one was staying in that forest. So then he started meditating upon the super soul situated within the heart. So that's what we have discussed in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, meditation. So he was doing a meditation using intelligence. Okay. So as I had heard from liberated soul. So whatever instruction he has received from those Bhagavatas, he started doing that. So in Dhyayataha Saranam Bhojo Bhavanirchita Chetasa Utkanthasya Kalakshaya Rudi Asiname Sanerhari. As soon as I began to meditate upon the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, with my mind transformed in transcendental love, tears rolled down my eyes, and without delay, the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna appeared on the lotus of my heart. Okay, so he was following the instruction. He was not whimsically meditating, but he was following the instruction given by the Bhagavatas, whom he met and whom he was serving, and his mother was serving. So as soon as he started meditating, what happened? His mind transformed transcendental love. So it was filled with ecstatic love. Then tears rolled down from his eyes. So these are the symptoms of ecstasy. Okay. So its purport is very nice. The word bhava is significant here. So there is one word, bhava. So sometimes people imitate also. Many people, they speak so nice Bhagavad Gita. You will cry. But background, these people, they speak so nicely. But if you go their background activities, they smoke, drink, so many activities they do. So sometimes, these kind of Bhagavad narrations are going on. Speaker will make you cry. So you may feel that, oh, you have reached the transcendental stage. Sometimes speaker also cry. But, we have to be very, very careful from all those things. Okay. So this bhava stage is attained after one transcendental affection of the Lord. Okay, so then in the next he says, Premati bhara nirbhinna pula kango ati nirvritha ananda sap plave lino na pashyam ubhayam mune. So Vyasadev at that time, being exceedingly overpowered by the feeling of happiness, every part of my body becomes separately enlivened. When Lord appeared within his heart, he was feeling so happy, and every part of his body becomes separately enlivened. Being absorbed in the ocean of ecstasy, he said, I could not see much. I could not see both myself and the Lord. He could not see both Lord and himself. In the next verse, he says, Rupam Bhagavato yattan manakrantas chapaham apasyan saha uttaste vekalya durmana iva. The transcendental form of the Lord, as it is satisfied the mind's desire and at once erase all mental incongruities upon losing that form, so he saw that form was what kind of that? That satisfied the mind's desire. And it erased all the mental problems. Whatever mental dissatisfaction was there, so everything will be removed. And upon losing that form, so what happened that Lord was appeared within his mind and heart, within his heart, but suddenly he lost that form. Okay, and upon losing that form, I suddenly got up, being perked up, as is usual when one loses that which is desirable. So basically, lost that form. Okay, so that Lord is not formless. So from this we can understand that many people say that Lord has no form, but this realization of the Naradmuni, experience of the Naradmuni tells that Lord has form. Okay, that the Lord is not formless is experienced by Naradmuni, but his form is completely different from all forms of our material experience. In the next verse, it says that Didrukshitaham puya pranidhaya munorudi vikshamano apina pasyam vitrukta ivaturha. She said that I desire to see again the transcendental form of the Lord, but despite my attempts to concentrate upon the heart with eagerness to view the form again, I could not see him anymore. So basically, the Lord appeared and suddenly he left, and Naradmuni was putting effort again, but he could not see. I could not see him anymore, and thus dissatisfied, I was very much aggrieved. Okay. So basically, there is no mechanical process to see the form of the Lord. From here, we can understand there is no mechanical process to see the form of the Lord. So many people say that oh, if God exists, then please show us the God. Then we'll believe. You cannot see the God with your naked eyes. For that, you have to transform your eyes. You should have that vision. Just like in the 11th chapter, when Arjuna told to Krishna, please show me your Vishwarupa. Then Krishna said, you will not be able to see Vishwarupa by your present eyes, so that I will give you divine eyes. So we need to transform our material eyes to divine eyes, then we can see the form of the Lord. That's what he said. There is no mechanical process to see the form of the Lord. Okay. And even, okay, you might be doing costless bhakti, but still the result of that bhakti depends on in the hand of Lord Krishna. If Lord will, then he can show you. He can show the favor. If Lord doesn't will, then he will not show the favor. So it completely depends on the costless mercy of the Lord. And we cannot demand the Lord to be present before our vision. We cannot demand. Just as we cannot demand the sun to rise whenever we like, right? We cannot demand sun, "Arey, abhi ug jao. Abhi raat ko 9 baj gaya, abhi sun, oh, ug jao." No, it's not possible. So sun rise at his own accord. So also the Lord is pleased to be present out of his costless mercy. So one should simply wait the opportune moment and go on discharging his prescribed duty in devotional service of the Lord. So we have to continue our prescribed duties in the devotional service. Then Lord will appear one day. Okay. So Narad Muni thought that, so we cannot demand, oh, Bhagwan mere samne aa jao. No. Narad Muni thought that the Lord could be seen again by the same mechanical process, which was successful in the first attempt, but in spite of his utmost endeavor, he could not make the second attempt successful. So first attempt was successful. तो उसमें क्या किया, भगवान ने थोड़ा टेस्ट दे दिया. कभी कभी हमारे में भी ऐसा ही होता है. भक्ति शुरू करते हैं, बहुत अच्छा लगता है, थोड़े समय के बाद टेस्ट चला जाता है. So Lord give you a little bit taste. Then afterwards, Lord will taste you. You are really hankering for that. So then you will hanker. Then Lord will, वो ऐसा टेस्ट मिलता है ना, छोड़ने का मन नहीं करता. Will not like to leave that. So even though Lord will disappear, but He will continue, no? Because you have experienced that taste. So you want it again. So even though Lord doesn't appear, you will not get the taste, but you have remembered that taste, earlier taste. So still you continue that process, right? So Narad Muni thought that Lord could be seen again by the same mechanical process which was successful in the first attempt. But in spite of this utmost endeavor, he could not make the second attempt successful. The Lord is completely independent. Means, okay, no, आप शुद्ध भक्ति कर रहे हैं, But still, it doesn't mean that Lord is obliged to appear. It is His will whether He want to appear in front of you or not. Yes, of course, out of kindness He will appear. That is different thing. But it is His own will. We cannot force Him. So that's why we'll learn in the future that when Dhritarashtra, he was not leaving the house after the Mahabharat battle. So one day Vidura come and tell Dhritarashtra, oh, leave, you're living on the mercy of Bhima. भीमा का जूठा है वो आप खाते हैं, कृपया घर छोड़ के निकलो इधर से, कितना रहोगे अभी. So then Dhritarashtra realized and he left the home. So of course Vidura was a pure devotee of the Lord and he wanted that his brother Dhritarashtra also get pure devotional service, but he could not get. That's why, although Vidura has put that effort to give him pure devotional service, but Dhritarashtra didn't get. So Vidura was not feeling happy, but he knew Lord is independent. I cannot force him. So if Lord wishes, He can give him pure devotional service. Otherwise, not. But Lord did not award him pure devotional service because he has offended the pure devotees of the Lord. He has given so much trouble to pure devotees of the Lord like Yudhishthir, and Nakul, Arjun, Sahadev and all. So they had gone through suffering because of Dhritarashtra. That's why Lord did not award him pure devotional service. He was given impersonal Brahman realization. Okay, so the Lord is completely independent of all obligation. So He can simply be bound up by the tie of the unalloyed devotion. He cannot put a condition. Okay, करते रहो. Nor is He visible or perceivable by our material senses. When He pleases, being satisfied with the sincere attempt of devotional service, depending on completely on the mercy of the Lord, then He may be seen out of His own accord. So we cannot force the Lord to appear. This is what we can learn from this verse. So the next verse it says that एवं इयंत अनंतम विजने माहि गोचरो गिराम गंभीरस्य लक्षणीया वाचा सुच प्रसमयन्तिवा. So seeing my attempts in the lonely place, the personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to all mundane description, spoke to me with gravity in preaching the words just to mitigate my grief. So Lord disappeared. Naradmuni saw the Lord, and the form was very, very beautiful. So he was hankering to see it again, but his attempt was not successful. Then what happened? That when he tried the Lord, when he was hankering, so seeing the attempt in the lonely place, okay, she spoke invisibly, okay, just to mitigate the grief of Naradmuni. Okay, so what he spoke, so that we'll discuss tomorrow. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. If you have any question, comment, feedback, you can ask. So discussion between Lord's instruction to Naradmuni will be discussed tomorrow.